Welcome to episode 79 of Ring Talk. Myself, Martin Theobald. I'll later be joined by Steve Goodwin, the main man. This week we're going to take a look over new signings in the Goodwin stable camp. Going to have a bit of a rant about some boxing stuff. There's going to be the Q&A right at the end. Quickfire quiz with promoter Alan Budgen. You get to see what his knowledge is like, or lack thereof. A little bit of one to watch with Sam Cox. We're going to have a special feature with Amar, Kayani, who's going to be making his debut on November the 23rd on the Brexit show. A quick fire quiz, and we're going to look over what's coming up in boxing. And also, you're going to find out Steve's number one bet for the week. And after last week's success, you get to find out what he's tipping this week. So tune in, you'll see all of that and probably a little bit more. Right, we can kick off properly now. There's two of us.
As if by magic.
As if by magic, and Josh's wonderful editing, of which he did a really good job of last week.
Yes, I thought it looks a lot. The whole format looks a lot better, doesn't it?
Apart from when my face appears.
Do you not like that?
When he sent it through as a WhatsApp clip, I thought, you dickhead. You dickhead. But he did a brilliant job of doing it.
Yeah, it was good.
So fair play to him. Right, news from the last week. There's Canelo Kovalev. Did you see?
I watched everything last week, even though I was out with our friend Trevor.
Yeah.
Who has got the most. He's got a new idea for boxing, which I'm going to cover. Which cover that in the Q&A. But I was out with Trevor on Saturday, and he delivered this new idea, which I nearly fell on the floor with. But I caught up with all the boxing on the Sunday.
So the Crawler testimonial fight.
Right. So my observations are. Canelo obviously realises he wins on points no matter how he performs, and decided to stop. He decided to hit me in the 11th because he was not winning that fight, and he was 2 rounds up on 2 cards, and he didn't even throw a punch in the first round. I think it wasn't. One judge still gave it to him. So obviously the way that business works there is Canelo's going to win no matter what. He's just got to stand up. So he boxes like it, and then he did turn it on. It was a devastating knockout in the end, I thought. Kovalev still has a bit left, but at a lower level than he's been boxing at. Yeah, that's sort of my view.
Gamekeeper.
He can come down a level and fight if he wanted a few more quid, but he's not the fighter he was.
You don't want to see him in the Butterby ever.
No, he can come down a level and he'd be competitive if he wants to carry on, but he could decide to quit. But obviously with all the problems he's got, he might decide to try and cash in a few more times, which I would expect him to do. Back in the UK, our bet was won.
Yeah, Cullen Cash.
It was I thought it was a really good fight, but it's what I thought how it would be. Just there was one boxer had a little bit too much class for the other, but it just shows you people. We'll cover this all much more in the betting zone as to the logic behind betting, but we'll talk about it more then. But it was a great fight.
Paid for your night out.
More than paid for the night out, and so we had that. The quality testimonial. The 98-92 scorecard of Steve Gray. I've mentioned that before. I've mentioned that about judges, and I'm not saying that anybody is particularly deliberately biased, but maybe he is affected when a Northern fighter fights. If you look back at his scorecards and you can actually analyse it all, I just suggest anybody who wants to have a look, go and have a look. Yeah. Michael Alexander wasn't a lot better at 97-93. Even Eddie Hearn thought he'd either lost or won by a round. So how does somebody score 8 rounds to 2? I mean, the other one, and even the other one was 7 rounds to 3. It wasn't 7 rounds to 3 in either. Katie Taylor.
Did you see Matt Macklin's comments on Twitter about it? So he put something about it didn't really matter anyway. It was like an irrelevant fight, I think. That may not have been verbatim what he said.
What he's saying is it was his final. It's like a testimonial match, as you say, where the way you want to give the person's testimonial a penalty to score the winning goal.
Which is fine, but there's an opponent that was vying for Anthony Croller's world ranking.
Yes.
And it's not fair on him that you're turning up to get dicked over.
So what they're saying is that's what they're saying has happened. It was just basically no matter what was going to happen, he was going to win. Because if you score in 8 rounds to 2, you're just giving him everything you possibly can, even the rounds he's losing. I don't agree with that. I don't think that's good for boxing. Listen, Anthony Croller's been a great servant to the sport. I'm glad he signed out with a win, but I'm sure he'd have rather signed out with a genuine win than something like that, those scorecards.
Or I'm sure he would probably have rather signed off with a loss if that was, what the realistic outcome of that fight was.
The referee that scored it a draw had scored it. I think that was he'd scored it fairly. Let's just leave it at that. Katie Taylor beat Christina Lizarudu. But I don't know if you realise that. You know the person Katie Taylor fought?
Yeah.
Do you know the history of her?
No.
She fought Sam Smith 3 years ago and won by 1 point in a controversial
Did
fight.
she?
Yeah. I wished I had Sam Smith 3 years ago. I had her when she was just slightly too old, and she did say that. If I could have got Sam Smith 3 years before and we'd been able to develop her properly, she basically she was put down in the second in that fight, won most of the rounds and lost her by 1 point. She nearly won that fight, and look at what she did with Katie Taylor.
Yeah.
So it shows you where Sam Smith could have been. So I just, that's my one regret in boxing, that I didn't get Sam Smith 2 to 3 years earlier.
Yeah.
Because I think I could have had a female world champion on my hands. I really believe I could have. But that's gut. But Katie Taylor, I think it's not really popular. I think she's a loss waiting to happen. I think
she's a loss has already happened.
Well, a loss. Well,
Delphine Persoon.
We can carry on another scorecard job again, which I've got an issue about these rest of scorecards. I think she's already lost one, but I think she's not far off losing again. Much as I think she's been brilliant for women's boxing, I think she's going to lose soon.
Yeah, I think Hearn came out with something last week about 2020. She's going to be a superstar, a pay-per-view star.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's miles off. I think that's absolutely miles off.
I don't agree with Eddie on that.
Yeah.
But he's got to say he's a promoter.
No, I understand that.
He's got to say, but that's not realistic. And also, I think she's there to be. I think she probably loses a rematch with Persoon. I don't think she beats her. So again, you've got this situation of the way judges are, and it's one of my biggest things in boxing. But unfortunately, we don't get the right results because judges aren't going to score it the way they should sometimes.
Yeah.
But I think she's an accident waiting to happen. That's already happened, as you say. Apart from that, really, is there much else to...
Well, women world title holders, Nicola Adams, someone that you...
Oh, yeah, I mean, Nicola's retired. Probably didn't have the professional career that she would have liked. She got a world title from a bin, basically.
From an email, yeah.
From an email, and then defended it with a draw where it was very close. I think she made the right decision to depart. I think she turned over probably too late. And I think there were too many gaps in the career. She didn't have, she left it, there were for various reasons. Her career did not flow, and she was 37 at the end. And I think the last fight, after I watched it, I thought to myself, I hope she retires now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't, I think she was, just like Katie Taylor, but probably further advanced, she was about to lose.
I don't know Nicola, I've never met Nicola, I've never spoken with her. My impression of her is that she's such a nice lady that can make money outside of boxing.
Correct.
That doesn't need to be punched in the face to make money, and has always not necessarily been looking for a way out of the sport, but hasn't been reliant upon it.
Well, that's totally true.
When you get to that stage, she's 37 years old, if she has got the problems with her eye and her vision, you don't need that hassle. If you can make money...
It's not the only injury she's had either, and I know she's been struggling with other injuries.
Yeah, if you can make money going on TV shows, advertising products, performances, appearances, good luck to you. Like, I completely understand why at 37 years old, you might say,
I think it's the right decision.
2 gold medals, 1 world title, walk away.
But she obviously didn't have... The professional career didn't end the way she wanted, but that doesn't matter because what she achieved in the amateurs, and she helped to set women's boxing up. So full credit to her, and I think she deserves her retirement.
She's unlucky. She's unfortunate that she's 10 years almost too early.
Yeah.
In 10 years' time, women's boxing, I'm sure, will be a more developed product than what it is now, and she could make the money that she probably deserves to, without having to do it at 34 years of age.
I totally agree, but full credit to her.
Yeah. Dion Juma, someone you went to go and see today.
I'm meeting with Dion today. We've got the purse bid with Sam Hyde due next week.
So that's for the English title, but
and a final eliminator for the British. So we're very keen on that fight with Sam Hyde. We think it's a very, very winnable fight, and we're quite happy to have the Sam Hyde fight. I know there's a question about that coming, so we'll deal with that in the Q&A. But yeah, we're working on that for next week.
Yeah, so Sam Hyde people will know from the Richard Riakporhe fight, where he was probably ahead on the card.
Definitely ahead.
And then took that thunderous shot that just broke his eye socket,
Yes, that's
didn't it?
correct.
And it just had that massive welt coming off his face. But yeah, so that's...
But with Richard Riakporhe, with all due respect to Richard, his thing is the equaliser.
Yeah.
In terms as a technical boxer, there are better technical boxers than Richard out there, but he has got unbelievable power.
Yeah, in a Wilder-esque way, that you know, he could be miles behind on a card, but there's always a possibility.
Totally.
This weekend. This weekend, the only thing you can talk about is KSI Logan Paul, because it's the only thing that's really being promoted. What do you make of it?
Well, I'm not going to pay for it. No way am I paying for that. No way. I don't even want to watch it on the stream. I just don't. I'm just not interested in watching it.
I did stream the first one, but my 9-year-old son wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And to that end, I'm not going to be the one that said no.
Would you pay £10 for it?
Fuck all chance.
No, I wouldn't pay for it.
If my son wants to watch it at the weekend, I'll find a stream for it.
You wouldn't pay £10?
I wouldn't pay £10. I wouldn't take 10 of his pounds. We'd find a way. But he hasn't shown any interest in this one. And it's over in America, so perhaps...
Silly o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it hasn't kind of garnered the same interest.
The thing is, you can't slate the event. The event is going to make people money. And in this world, business, to a certain extent, is about making money. It's not about, you know, people are going to make a shed load of money, including the promoter. That's why he's doing it. You can't argue with people for making money. So I would not criticise somebody for being an opportunist in staging it. I don't have a problem with the two boxers wanting to do it. They're all going to make money, and if people want, I always say the same thing, it's a free world, a free society. If people want to pay them all this money, then why should they refuse it?
And do you know what? I don't even have a problem with them as boxers. Like, from their first fight, they're not dreadful.
No.
And they've put themselves through like a proper 8-week training camp, KSI with Roger Mayweather. He's not going to go into that ring a total no-hoper. He's going to have an element of skill about him.
I mean, we'll cover this in the betting zone, because although it's not an official bet, I'm going to cover the betting side of it in the betting zone. But yeah, I mean, I can't criticise the event for happening. It doesn't interest me, but it's obviously interesting enough people who want to pay for it.
Yeah.
So good luck to everybody.
Yeah. All right, moving on, one new signing this week.
Yeah, I mean, often we're parading loads of new signings that are up-and-coming prospects. What people don't realise that I really like doing is looking after the away fighters.
Yeah.
I actually, we look after Jamie Spate, Eddie Bjorklund, Phil Williams, etc., Lee Devine, and everybody, many boxers who are on like Calamide recently. And now we've taken on Robbie Forster, Welsh super featherweight, super bantamweight, he flips between the two, and we're going to be managing him. And I like to do that. I like to try and look after these boxers who are boxing on the road, make sure we get the right fights, make sure they get the right money. And to me, I really enjoy that, looking after them. So Robbie Forster has come to us. It was very nice of him to do that. And we started him off. He signed with us last Friday. I've already got him 3 fights.
Oh, okay.
So we're doing all right.
Where are you going to box him? Would it be out kind of West Way, or...?
Box him wherever the right fights are and wherever he's getting the right money. So we'll fight. It's very important. I mean, I've been offered fights today. We turn them down. I'm not going to put my fighters in with people that I think are too dangerous for them.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put them with fights that I think they can have a chance of winning, or at the very least that they are not going to get hurt by. So that's the job that I want to do with all my fighters, is to protect them. So that's what I enjoy doing, and I actually enjoy doing that. It's, developing champions such as Dion Juma and the like, and Linus Dofias and everybody like that is great buzz. But it's just as good a buzz helping these guys earn as much money as they can. Hopefully when they finish boxing, they might be able to buy a house with it, or deposit, or something for their family. And if I can be a part to help that, then I believe I can do a better job than most. So that's what I like to do. And I've got 9 lads on the road at the moment.
Which is brilliant. I mean, those lads, not that there's a hard and fast rule, but say they walk away from each fight with $1,000 in their pocket. Mm-hmm. If you can get them out 15 times a year, that's like, for some people, that's a full-time wage. full-time
And if
salary.
they've got it as a separate job to a main job, they do that for a couple of years, they've got a deposit for a house.
Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to get them around to do.
I'm always amazed more people don't do it, if I'm honest.
Mhm.
Those that...
You've got to remember, a lot of boxers don't do 4 rounds. They're walking out, some of them, with 600, 700 quid.
Yeah.
It's not enough. So our fighters are walking out with a lot more money.
Yeah.
Because of what we do, how we do it for them. So our fighters are getting real money. So if you're walking out with 600, 700, £800 a fight, maybe not. Maybe it's not so good. But you've got, our fighters always walk out with 4 figures.
Yeah.
Minimum from a fight.
Yeah.
So that's their take home. That's after paying anything. So sometimes, often a lot more. So that's really important for me, that they can actually make good money out of fighting.
Would you ever manage a foreign journeyman? You know, like the Bulgarians that come over, or Latvians?
Probably not. It's too much aggravation.
Yeah.
Getting flights.
Lot of logistics.
A lot of logistics. I haven't really got the time. This is quite easy, quite quick. Can look after them, and everything I've got is a system.
And you can get to know them.
Get to know them, really understand what they want, and really look after them. And no, so it's fine as it is. I'll take some more English journeymen on, but at the same time, we're very keen to develop our champions as well.
Yeah. Yeah, which you'll be doing November 30th, next championship. Well, actually, now it's a lie, November 22nd.
But they're both of mine, so...
Yeah. Which will be Brad Pauls versus Robbie Chapman.
Yeah.
Then November 30th, Linus Udofia, Tyler Denny. Liam Dillon, Yusuf Kamari.
Curtis Felix, Eko Estiman.
And Ryan Walker.
Peter Moga. And the undercard, Jamani Camiro and
Justin
Menzie. Double Church against Dominic Felix, and also another one, Mo Garib against Dave Birmingham. So that's 2 winners. That's 7 of the fights, positive record v positive record.
Amazing. November 30th.
You'll be there. We'll be there.
Oh, I put that ages ago with the missus.
Yeah, you can't miss that. Cannot miss that.
Excellent. Right, cool. So that's all for this week. So we're going to go and have a look at my weekly rant, which is going to hark back to KSI and Logan Paul. So let's cut to that.
Martin's weekly rant.
Right, my weekly rant is time. So all we've been sold as boxing fans is this vision of KSI versus Logan Paul 2 out in Vegas. It may not be for the hardcore boxing fans, but you've got to accept it because it's going to bring the sport along, and there's going to be all these people that tune in. Show me the point at which the actual boxers have been promoted within this show. You've got Billy Joe Saunders, who is in a world title defence. I don't even know who he's fighting. Devin Haney is defending a title that he never won against somebody I've never heard of, in 2 fights that have kind of slipped under the radar of the entire promotion. Now, tell me how KSI versus Logan Paul is going to attract these YouTube viewers to stay in the sport of boxing and be enticed to stay in the sport of boxing when these people aren't even being featured at the press conference. They're not even getting a mention. I don't know if there's more than 2 actual professional boxers discarding KSI and Logan Paul. I'm talking Devin Haney, Billy Joe Saunders. I don't know if there's more than that on this card because it's been completely glossed over with the KSI Logan Paul. Now I understand that entirely, and I don't have an issue particularly with what they're doing. Good luck to them, they'll make money, but don't try and give the argument that this is to boost the sport of boxing, that there could be 10% of fans that stay on and follow the sport afterwards, and that's how the sport will grow, because it's bollocks. At best, what you should be pushing is that if you're a boxer, follow the trend of how KSI and Logan Paul have become popular. Find a niche, find a way that you can produce content that will entice people to come back and buy something from you. That's where the value in KSI versus Logan Paul for boxing comes from, not on the fact that Billy Joe Saunders might gain 1 million more followers, 1 million more fans, 1 million more ticket buyers on the back of this. Because it will not happen, because it's barely been mentioned that he's even fighting. So do not push that argument, please. Right, now, one to watch. This week we've picked out Sam Cox. So Sam Cox, who looks like he should be on Love Island.
He'll probably end up on another. I can see. Well, I think he's got a female at the moment, so
Has he?
I don't think we want to be doing that.
No, I'm just saying he's got the look of someone.
Yeah, but if ever, his partner doesn't want to be with him anymore, and he ends up single, and after he's won a boxing title, and he's done it. I think he would fit in well. He'd make a lot of money on there.
Yeah,
he's got the chat.
He's got the chat. He's got the look. He's got that kind of Essex wide boy-esque bit about him. But more about him as a boxer. Mm-hmm. How long have you had Sam?
2 and a bit years now.
Yeah.
He's 5-0. He's obviously, I think he's quite well documented the issues he's had outside the ring that have meant he's not as active as he'd like to be. He's fought on a Matchroom show, so he's fought. He's been at the O2 and fought on a Matchroom show, which is we do try and give our fighters the other. It's not just about staying on the shows that we're involved in. So if there are other options, we do it. So he's fought on an O2 show. He's possibly going to be out in December. Not on our show. We don't have shows in December, but he's possibly out in December. And then next year we're looking to really step up the charge and go into titles. And he's quite ready with his trainer Sam Bazina to go for titles next year. And his weight category, which would be super flyer, he's well capable of winning titles.
All right, so we're going to hear from Sam himself. He's going to tell us about his career and what he's up to.
Hi, my name's Sam Cox. I'm a professional boxer, signed to Goodwin on part of a management deal, sort of 5-0 now. So I just wanted to tell you a little bit about myself. I started boxing at age of 6 and boxed all the way as an amateur, all the way right up until about 20. Had numerous amounts of amateur fights, got to 2 national finals. Another thing I've done as a amateur boxer, I was the world's youngest referee and judge at the age of 16. So that's another thing I've done as an amateur. Professional wise now, got a good career going with Goodwin managing me, really pushing me. I've boxed on a show for Matchroom at the O2. That's probably the pinnacle of my career so far. 5-0, 1 knockout. Just really looking to push on. Want another fight, say just before Christmas, hopefully. If not, I'll be back out straight away in the new year. And come spring, summertime, hopefully I'll be boxing for Southern area, and then pushing late on into the end of the next year, pushing for English title. And 2021, fingers crossed, if everything goes well, hopefully I can box for a British title. And then from there, the sky's my limit really. So hopefully big things are coming, and look out for me and see you around in the scene.
Welcome to the Quickfire quiz. After last week's dismal performance of Martin Theobald, who scored a measly 2 points and is currently top of the leaderboard, we are delighted to have the boxing expertise and wisdom of promoter Alan Budgen today, who's going to go through the 60-second Quickfire quiz. Now, for those of you that want to try and get to the top of the leaderboard, give the office a shout, drop us a message on Facebook, Twitter or Instagram, and everybody is welcome to come on and try and be top of the leaderboard and be the champion of the Quickfire quiz. So we're going to start off as soon as I'm given the nod to start with the 60 seconds, and then we'll be away. What round did Dean Richardson win when he won the Southern Area Super Welterweight title?
5.
No, 2. Who was the Southern Area Cruiserweight champion immediately before Daniel Mendes?
No, I can't remember. Pass.
Dion Juma. Tom Stalker had 18 professional fights.
Right.
How many did he win?
1.
12.
Sorry, Tom.
What year did Barry Hearn and Frank Warren stage a joint promotion?
90.
Only once.
93.
Correct.
Ooh.
Who did Josh Kennedy defeat to become English Super Bantamweight champion in March 2017?
Oh, I should know this.
You were there.
I know. That's why I should know it. No, pass. Can't remember the name.
Michael Ramabalazza.
Oh, yeah.
How many professional boxing shows have there been at the O2 in 2019?
Oh, it's random gets 7.
Correct.
Oh,
That's it.
Ooh.
You're out of time, and you are as intelligent as Martin, who scored an amazing 2 points.
I'm more intelligent than Martin because I support Arsenal.
That's a good point. Although that's questionable considering I support them. But anyway, thank you very much. The leaderboard now is tied. Alan Budgen with 2, Martin Theobald with 2. Let's see next week if somebody can actually show some boxing expertise and go up that leaderboard.
Welcome. With me today we've got Amar Kayani. How are you doing?
Not too bad, thank you for having me on.
Excellent. No, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
So let's start off with the formalities. November 23rd, York Hall, professional debut. How you feeling?
I'm confident. I'm always confident before my fights, but obviously this time I'm going into the ring as a professional. Hopefully I can turn up on the night, put a good performance on and make everyone proud.
Yeah. I mean, unlike your quiz that we've seen you record tonight, where hopefully you'll perform better than that.
No, definitely. No, do you know what it is? I was alright. My boxing knowledge isn't too bad, but when the pressure's on, you've got to think really quick.
Yeah.
I ended up just slipping up to him.
So people will see that next week. But let's go back to the boxing. Tell me about your amateur career, because I know you were a good achiever despite a short kind of record.
Yeah, so obviously I only had mid-30, like 33, 34 amateur fights. I mean, nowadays people have loads more, they're going to 60, 70, 80, 90 fights. But with me, I started boxing relatively late. I started boxing at the age of 15. I had my first fight when I was 16, and I had my first senior bout when I was 17. So I was 17 years old, I was boxing like massive 27-year-olds. So I was trying to get in there, I was mixing it with like high-level opposition. I went undefeated for my first 6 or 7 fights before I started actually losing.
Yeah.
And I only lost a handful of times in my 30 fights. So my record's been quite decent. I boxed high level for a long time. I won the developments, I won the novice championships. After I won the novices under 20s, I started boxing elite. So after about 14 fights in, I started boxing the elite level. So from 14 to 33, 34, 35, I boxed the country's best boxers. I boxed really highly ranked boxers. I boxed in the ABAs, and I did quite well in my elite time as an amateur.
Did the old cliche count for you of the losses you kind of learn more than the victories?
Yeah, like to be fair, you know, amateur boxing, you don't really lose.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever lost an amateur fight. In the ring, I still think I'm undefeated, but obviously judges see different. It's just the way I was boxing, my arms a little bit low, a little bit slick. Sometimes you get caught, your head knocks back and the judges score it. You can hit the guy with a combination and they might not score it. It's whatever floats your boat as an amateur judge, I guess. I think professional boxing is much more suited to my style.
Is that what's prompted you to turn over now?
Yeah, I mean, I could have done another year as an amateur, another few years as an amateur, and tried making like an England team and try boxing regularly. But I just thought my style was so much more suited to the professional game. The way I hold my arms, the way I move, the way I can carry myself with the rounds. I like taking my time and loading up a little bit more, so I think I'll be a lot more successful as a professional football boxer.
Okay, so in terms of any changes and adaptations that you've made from the professional to the amateur side of it, coaching wise?
So obviously I've stayed with the same coach I had in the amateurs, so that's Stuart Scott from High Wycombe. I trained out of a club called Wycombe Warriors. I still train there now as a professional. The gym's actually a pro-am gym now, it's in High Wycombe. So really good gym, and Stu's got a lot of knowledge. I'm his first pro, obviously he's my first professional coach, and we're hopefully going to make it all the way to the top.
You're seeing more and more of these amateur coaches that are starting to do the professional side as well. We're bringing the lads all the way through the system. Darren Wiseman down in Portsmouth, Xavier Miller in London. Doing it. So yeah, Stuart's not he's not having to do this without anyone else having done it before. He can
I think like the same, like the old saying, like if it's not broken, don't fix it. It can really be applied to the amateur and professional sports people, because if you're gelling so well together as amateurs, when you do turn over and you start fighting as a pro, there's no point starting from scratch again, getting a new coach. They'll have to learn your style, you'll have to learn their style. If it works, just keep it going and build on from there. So as a professional team, we're going to build on and hopefully be even more successful. Yeah.
And as an amateur, I know you boxed, as you say, at a high level, but some of the names people may be familiar with of Denzel Bentley, who...
Yeah, so I did box Denzel in the Nationals. I boxed him, I believe, for his last amateur fight before he turned over pro. I mean, Denzel's a really good professional boxer. I beat him in the amateurs. And I've got to take my hat off to him. He's making a lot of waves in the pro game. He's doing really well, and hopefully he keeps winning. And hopefully, if I keep winning, we can meet again down the line at some point.
Yeah, is that one you fancy then? Because I mean, he's obviously quite destructive as a professional.
Yeah, no, of course. You know what? You ask any boxer if they'd fancy a big fight with someone that's quite well known, and they're gonna say yeah all night long. I'd love to fight him again. He'd probably love to fight me again. But I've got to respect where he's at, and I've got to build myself up. And I can't just say put me in the ring with him, because he's earned this spot to be. You know, he's up there. He's 9-0, 10-0. So hopefully I'll be able to get him again at some point.
Yeah. Did you feel his power as an amateur?
No, as an amateur, I was really elusive, so I didn't really get caught with too much. But yeah, he's doing really good as a pro, and he's knocking a lot of people out. Man, I'm really impressed with him. Hats off.
All right, so going back then, November 23rd. I know you've got a fairly big following coming down to York Hall to watch you.
Mm-hmm.
How have you kind of already built that up despite not having a pro fight yet?
So obviously my profile in Slough and surrounding areas, we've built it through our business called Kayani Camp. Kayani Camp is actually an amateur, it's not an amateur gym yet, but it's the works of becoming an amateur gym. What we do is we take the youth off the street, and there's like a massive, a knife epidemic in Slough and the surrounding area. The knife crime's mad. So what we try doing is get them off the street and we put them straight into the gym. We train the kids for free if they can't afford it. We don't take money off them. If they can afford it, they'll just help us pay the rent towards the place. We fund all of it by ourselves. No one helps us.
Wow.
It's just me and my brothers, my family. We do it. So obviously the parents through that, they've seen us a lot. We get maybe almost 50 kids a week. 50 kids a session, and there's 2 sessions a week. No 2 sessions are the same. Literally, the adults and juniors class, we always see different faces. We teach them what we can. And so we're quite well known through that. So
that's pretty amazing. So you're just getting kids without any aim for profit necessarily?
No, literally, we don't. If we make a profit, it goes back into the gym. We pay the rent. We buy equipment for the gym, because essentially we have a hall. We book a hall out with our own money.
Yeah. And
we get a load of kids turn up, a load of adults turn up, and we just teach them what we know.
That's brilliant. Excellent. So yeah, I mean, looking forward to your professional career. What are you aiming to achieve if we kind of break it down by 12 months from now, 24 months from now? Where are you hoping that you can be at?
So I'm not going to jump ship and start saying I'm going to be a world champion really soon, but I'm going to take it every fight at a time. Within 12 months, I want to remain undefeated. Hopefully, I want to keep winning. If I'm able to fight for a strap within 12 months, I'll challenge for it. Any strap they give me, anything they give me.
Yeah.
Even if it's a plastic belt, I'll fight for it. Anything they give me, I'll fight for it. And in 24 months, I want to fight for bigger titles. I want to fight prospects. I want to have hard fights. I don't want to just get kind of spoon-fed easy fights and up till I'm 15 or 16 and 0. I want to fight. I want to have competitive fights and get better.
Yeah, but you accept there's that learning period when you start off as a pro.
No, definitely. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to fight. You know, a lot of people think fighting these journeymen are easy, but they're really durable people, and they've been in it for a long time. They come to fight. They want to eat too. So they don't just want to go in there and get beat up. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to fighting whoever they put in front of me.
And I know there are a lot of journeymen that I speak to that, because they've got to get the wins, and they sometimes enjoy it when they get a debutant that they kind of after a round or so might think this could be the week.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah, the journeyman I'm boxing on the 23rd, I've seen quite a bit of him. I respect him. A lot of people would be overlooking their first opponent, but I'm training for him like I'm training for a world title. Every single fight I've had since I've been an amateur, I train every single time like it's my world title fight.
Yeah. And
hopefully I'm gonna pay him. I'm gonna give him all the respect in the world and fight like the world title is on the line. Like the world title is on the line.
Awesome. What style can people expect to see from you on the 23rd?
So with me, the reason I never stayed in the amateurs too long is because I was never really upright. You know, the amateur boxing, they like the higher guard England style. I'm a bit more slick, arms a bit low. I like throwing a screw shot. I like the right. I like turning southpaw. I like switching my feet. A lot of head movement. So you can expect to see a lot of explosiveness, a lot of angles, and a lot of head movement.
It sounds flashy.
It is quite
flashy is where we're going with this.
I don't want to. Yeah, it's flashy.
That's all right. Build it up.
Yeah, it's reasonably flashy, but I can box and I can adjust to my opponent. So if my opponent's a really tough, rugged, come forward guy, I can come forward a little bit. If he's allowing me to tee off on him and work mangos, I'll box like that.
But you can scrap as much as you can.
Yeah, I love a good scrap, man.
What made you start boxing at 15? That's, as you said earlier, it's quite early to kind of take quite late to take the sport up.
See, the reason I started boxing is there's various reasons, but one of the main reasons was my eldest brother. He was actually a really, really high level in Taekwondo, and he used to show us loads of videos, and we used to watch the videos, and I used to get really excited watching them. And every time he used to show me, used to get me a little bit buzzing. I used to think, I want to start fighting. So obviously my dad and my other brothers, they kind of pushed me towards the boxing route. We found a boxing coach, we started training with him, and we just took it from there really.
Okay. Have you got a message for all those people that are coming down to support you on the 23rd?
Yeah, I want to say thank you to everyone that's going to come down and support me. It's the first of many. It's going to be an explosive night, and hopefully I can make everyone proud.
Cool. And can you give a shout out to all the sponsors, the people that are going to help hopefully support your career as you go through?
So all the sponsors, Kayani Camp, that's my camp, obviously sponsor myself. I want to thank Mr. Cod and Farnham Road, they helped with my brain scan and a lot of the stuff. I want to thank SDX Tuning, they're a really good tuning company up in Slough. Hijama Specialist, if anyone's heard of cupping, you know when they put the cup on.
Yeah.
I get
that always looks awkward.
Yeah.
Stuff where it leaves the red marks on you.
You'll probably see it on Fight Night on my back, but it's really good with recovery, and I've been doing it for a long time. I want to thank Awad George's Hairdressers, one of the top hairdressers in Slough. They've always helped me out. He's helped me with the fight and with my kit and everything. And I just want to give a shout out to everyone else coming down. I also want to give a shout out to my brother UBTK. He's an athlete from High Wycombe. He's sponsoring me for the fight also.
Awesome. Excellent. So if you need any of those services, find this man on social media, on Instagram.
Yeah, so on Instagram it's at Kayani_Amar. Kayani is KAYANI _AMAR. Or you can just at Kayani Camp, as it says on my top, literally Kayani Camp. And the same thing's on Facebook at Kayani Camp. And my Facebook, I think my Facebook is Amar Kayani Boxing.
Excellent. So find him, find those people that are supporting him, give him all the support, because those people that are helping boxers out, and all those people that have brought tickets for you, fantastic, on the 23rd.
Yeah.
You'll be on about fight 8, 9, 10, somewhere around that.
Yeah, hopefully 8, 9 and 10. I've got quite a few people coming down, and we still got 2 weeks, and usually 2 weeks is when the most interaction comes towards me. I get the most people calling me, when's your fight?
Right.
Can I come grab tickets? So I think these last 2 weeks are going to actually be the busiest. I mean, I've had a lot of people calling me, but I've still got I've got 2 weeks left, and I think now it's going to really pick up a little bit.
Yeah.
So if you guys are watching this, call me as soon as possible before it's too late.
And they can expect to see fireworks, expect to see something slick, flashy.
Yeah, I'm going to put a performance on for everyone, and you guys are going to see. You're going to see a different type of boxer hopefully in the ring. Excellent.
Start of the journey, November 23rd, York Hall. Get out the man for tickets. Enjoy the night. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on.
Right. Thank you very much to Amar Kayani. We're actually going to see his quickfire quiz next week. And spoiler alert.
See if he can beat yourself and Alan.
Nearly impossible to beat me, as we've seen from Alan. And I've seen Amar's efforts. So I'll keep my mouth shut on that. Right, the betting zone. There's not one particular bet you've picked out this week, is
No,
there?
so what I thought we'd start with is just explain the point system again from last week. So obviously last week we had another winning bet, and I will go through the reasoning behind these bets and what betting's about, because people think they understand betting, but they don't. I've been doing betting now for 30 years on horse racing and also on the boxing now, and people don't realise that I used to be a guest on Sky Sports on, it was called the Saturday morning whatever the racing. I used to go on Sky Sports and give betting information and tips.
How did you get that job?
Well, they picked, because I was so successful.
Right.
They pulled me in to give advice
Scouting.
on. Basically, they wanted me in there to do it because I was actually in the Daily Mirror in 2001. I was responsible for pulling off a £1 million betting coup for lots of people.
Right.
So I became famous for that in the horse racing sphere. And you think, well, how comes? Why is he now successful at betting on boxing and used to be very successful at horse racing? Because it's about understanding what betting is about and totally understand, which most people don't, and that's why there are the casinos out there and the bookmakers out there, and they're all super rich because everybody loves to give their money away.
Yeah.
We don't do that. It's a very simple thing that if you, for example, spin a coin, I know this sounds really basic, if you give me 11 to 10 on it being heads, I'll do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week because I'm going to win. If you give me 10 to 11, I know that no matter how many times I win, if I keep doing it, I'm going to lose. And that's what a casino's about. You're always betting
against
10 to 11 on. So that fraction, they're always going to beat you. And the bookmakers frame their odds so that if it's, say in boxing, if it's one boxer, another boxer in the draw, that they may have a 6% advantage. So in other words, for every £100 they take in, if they've got it right, they keep 6.
Yeah.
And that's basically how it all works. The only way to beat them is to know when they have the odds wrong. Now, for example, if you do Anthony Josh or Andy Ruiz, for example, the bookmakers know as much as we all know. And unless we know, for example, that Andy Ruiz is taking a load of drugs, getting smashed on the pop, then there's a situation where, unless Eddie Hearns has worked his oracle, that those odds are right, you're not going to have a significant advantage.
Yeah.
An example of a significant advantage goes back to a really big bet I had, which was Gennady Golovkin against Kell Brook. Now, what happened was, at the start of the time, Gennady Golovkin was 1 to 10 on, and Kell Brook was something like 7 to 1, 8 to 1. Eddie Hearn, to sell his pay-per-view, started chatting, which is a good promoter, right?
Told us that Golovkin was ill.
Everything. And the odds, in the end, I backed Golovkin at 2 to 5 on. Because it was rubbish in that example.
Which means for every £5 you put on, you get
It's
£2 profit.
But really, for every £5 I put on, I should be winning about 25p. Because it was that big a certainty, right, at that time. So the odds have gone totally wrong. At 1 to 10, I'm not going to bother because the odds are not. But now the odds are in my favour. Now that's an example that everybody would understand as to why that would happen. So there was a point there where the odds were totally wrong, and so therefore I had a humongous bet, right? And
did you watch it?
I was there. I was there, but it was a humongous bet, right? Huge. I can't say how much, but it's 5 figures plus, right? So massive, right? Now that's an example that everybody would understand. So let's now take it back to Jack Cullen, John Harding Jr. fight.
Yeah.
So what we had was an undefeated lad coming from small hall boxing, managed by Dillian White, and promoted by Matchroom via Dillian White.
Yeah.
So everybody bought the stuff that John Harding Jr. was at this level. With all due respect to John, I knew he was that level.
Yeah.
So the problem was Cullen was 1 to 3 on. He should have been 1 to 25 on, as you can see by the fight against Felix Cash, right? It was ridiculous. So they were getting the information wrong. Another example was Dwayne Sinclair against Anthony Fox. Now, Dwayne, I managed to get him to, he was 12-0, and he left me and went to Dillian White, and they put him in with Anthony Fox. Now, I'd managed Dwayne, I'd watched every single round, every single minute of his fights. I knew Anthony Fox was all wrong for Dwayne. Dwayne was 4 to 7 on. Fox was 7 to 4 against. The odds are wrong because they're buying the hype of the 12-0 and the Dillian White connection. Totally, the bookmakers didn't know as much as we knew.
Yeah.
Similarly, when Felix Cash fights Jack Cullen, they are framing Jack Cullen's odds on the fact that he had a brilliant performance defeating an undefeated John Harding Jr. Now, we know that we'd already gone to back Cullen against John Harding because the whole information surrounding that was wrong. Then saying that because he beat Harding, he should be a 2 to 1 shot or 5 to 2 shot against Felix Cash was ridiculous because it was based on incorrect information that was already supplied down the line. Now the odds should have been 5 to 1 Cullen, 1 to 7, 1 to 8 Cash. Well, it was between 4 to 9 and 4 to 11, depending on when people got on. The odds were wrong again, and therefore it was a bet. Now that's how you make money out of betting, is when you have information and knowledge that the bookmakers don't have. That's basically it, and there are other examples, but I want to explain that because that's what it's about. It's about betting something at a better probability than the bookmakers' odds are.
But those little niche scenarios typically happen not as at the world level.
Correct.
They happen when people emerge from a lower level.
Correct.
That you may be aware of, and
Correct.
Kev may be aware of, and Josh may be aware of, but Paddy Power aren't aware of.
Correct.
Because they've not spent the years scouting these guys.
Correct. And they get these wrong all the time. There are times when they get the major odds wrong. Mayweather-McGregor. Mayweather started out 1 to 25 and ended up being 1 to 3.
How much of that is influenced by people putting money on McGregor. How much of
Correct.
it is influenced by the money going on?
No,
How much
it's
is
the money that went on. But what happened was, in order to sell the pay-per-view, the propaganda machine started convincing people, same as politicians will now, Jeremy Corbyn, Boris Johnson, they'll try and convince people of things that aren't really true. They all do, all politicians, Swinson, all of them. So the same thing as promoters do in boxing. They will convince people, they can't sell a fight 1 to 25, so they will convince you and brainwash people that this man has a chance.
Yeah.
So the money comes on, same as it did for Brooke. Eddie convinced people to back Brooke. They convinced people to back McGregor. The odds then collapsed. Now, in those extreme examples where Eddie's worked his oracle, there's massive advantage of backing against what Eddie's doing because Eddie has an influence on the betting markets.
I know a story about a promoter of a fairly high-profile fight that was asking people to put out tweets or rumours of an injury to one half of the main event. So that people would bet on it and bring the odds in, then the fight could be sold as a closer fight than what it was. I'll tell you about it off air.
I'll tell you off air, but that doesn't surprise me. So that's in terms of betting. So I hope you can understand that because it's really important you understand this. The point system was we had 4 points last week on, so that means 4 out of 5 means your point could be £10, £100, £1,000. So if, for example, last week we had £4,000 on Felix Cash, that would win you roughly, if you had 2 to 5, it would win you £1,600. So we are now 1.6 points ahead.
Right.
So the point is, as we go forward, we're aiming to build those points up to double digits and just keep.
The other point is you don't encourage nor bet on things that aren't a very certain outcome.
Correct.
So you wouldn't put money on Logan Paul KSI because it looks, you might get 7 to 5 on KSI and think he looks pretty trim.
No.
You wouldn't go down that route.
No, that wouldn't trust me to have a bet. What do I know? I mean, I'll tell you what we think about the fight, but what do I really have? Do I have an edge on that? Probably not. So I think from that point of view, it's very, very, very important that we take those examples I've got are what we are looking for betting perspective, and they're not going to happen every week, not every month. You may get 2 in a week, 2 in a month, but we can talk about general bets as they come.
I think the one that looks quite attractive this week, not that I'm an expert on these things, but Inoue within the first 6 rounds, I think you can get something like 2 to 7. 3 to 7, something like that, against Dallaire, which is Thursday, which will be when this is
But do you know more than the bookmaker? The question is, you think that's valuable.
Yeah,
I'm not saying you're not right, but do you know more than the odds compilers of those bookmakers who do it for a living? Do you know more? Do you think you've got additional information that they don't have?
No, not at all.
And if you don't, it's not a good bet.
Yeah,
whether you're right or whether you're wrong. It's like saying, I think Arsenal are going to beat Crystal Palace this week at 4 to 9. Well, that's because their real odds are 1 to 2.
Yeah.
But they're giving you 4 to 9. So unless you know that they've eaten a curry on the Friday night and all the team are sick, and then, for example, Crystal Palace's team are all sick and they're going to have to field a load of kids and the bookmakers don't know that information, then you back it at 4 to 9. You need something like that. Otherwise, that is why bookmakers, you don't see a poor bookmaker and they win, because it's hard to evaluate what the edge is unless you've got a significant advantage.
I've got more questions about it, but I'll save them for another week when there aren't any outstanding bets. We'll do a deep dive of it another week.
So anyway, as far as betting is concerned this week, if I'm not having a bet, the only thing that resembles any form of value, and I'm not betting, so this is not going down as a recommendation, is probably Logan Paul to stop KSI.
Based on he's got a bit of tash.
Based on the fact that in the first fight, KSI had already had a fight, so had the advantage of having a fight.
Yeah.
Logan Paul got very tired after 2 rounds, and he won't be this time. So now he's got the advantage.
Right, the Q&A. Before we do that, though, I'm going to make Tim Brown's day.
Okay.
Tim Brown was our winner of 2 free tickets to the Brexit show for retweeting with the correct answer of how many I got right last week. So Tim Brown, I'll make sure or tweet me or do something. We'll find a way to sort that out for you.
Yeah.
So we've got a few questions from last week, a few from this week. Let's quick fire our way through them.
Yeah, well, yeah, try and be fast, yeah.
Heavens above, if you could change 3 things in boxing, what would it be?
Accountability of judges. If a judge scores something ridiculous, ban them.
Yep.
If you get a 98, 92 crawler score, watch it back, say that's ridiculous, you're on a warning. If they do it again, ban them.
2 more?
Second one, ban or find a way to stop people that have not got licenses but parade as boxing managers. Get them out of the sport. Get them out of the sport or make them licensed so that when they do things that are wrong, that they can be held accountable.
This is the biggest problem, though, isn't it? That who's going to do that? Because if
I have an idea.
Do you?
I have an idea, and I am going to propose it to the Board of Control.
Okay. Oh, we won't
So
touch
I
on
think
it on
it's
here,
not
then.
right for me to say it here, but I'm going to address it with the Board of Control because something needs to be done because there are lots of licensed managers that are getting really fed up with what's going on.
The only way I could do it, and I haven't spoken to you about it, so I don't know what your idea is, so don't nod or shake your head or whatever, but I would say you have to lay the responsibility at the boxer's door and say to the boxer, if you have these people and they're proven to be guiding your career, doing something to your career outside of our jurisdiction, so we can't take action on them, then your license gets suspended for 2 months. Something along those lines. Third one?
Mine goes further, but
Okay.
It's on you're on those lines. Third one. If a boxer around the world is caught with a minuscule amount, a tiddly amount, a slightly false reading on the drug test, 5-year ban, no appeal, no lawyer up. If you've got a minuscule that could have come from a meat, I don't give a shit. 5-year ban to the lot of you because that's the only way of cleaning this sport up. It's too dirty. There were too many people taking shit, and there were too many people allowing it to happen.
The WBC came out and allowed
I know, I saw that. That was the limit. That was it. And I just think if it's going to carry on like this, they're all cheating. Not when I say they're all cheating, there's a vast amount of boxing, in my opinion, cheating, and the clean fighters need a break, and they need to stop it. But they're not going to stop it while it's being endorsed by people and allowed. For example, Jarrell Miller's coming back. I mean, what the fuck is going on in this sport that this is going on? It's appalling. I believe in forgiveness, right? I accept. But you've got to serve a punishment. You've got to be banned. Boxers lawyer up when they get a dodgy, when they fail a test. They find a reason to try and do it. People back down. The different bodies back down. It should be a bang 5-year, 4-year ban, and you get that ban, and you cannot appeal. If it's in your system, you're guilty, and that's the end of it.
Yep, agree.
Otherwise, why you rob a bank? You go and murder somebody. You found the evidence of stabbing somebody. You go to jail, right? There's no. Oh well, I'm going to try and find a loophole. If you've bloody stabbed somebody and killed them, you go to jail. If you've taken a drug when you're hitting somebody in the face, go to jail.
And also,
take a ban.
If you're then promoting those same people or other people that have done,
I think if people serve their time, right? But they serve their time, that's okay.
But if the time is 6 months,
but the time shouldn't be 6 months. That's immoral.
Yeah.
If the time's years, and whether I believe it should be 4 years, or 5 years, but if it is less time, and if it's a common thing that it's 3 years, if somebody serves their time, and I believe that somebody goes to prison as well. If you serve your time. But boxers aren't serving any time. They're just getting away with it.
Yep.
And they're lawyering up against these bodies to avoid getting done. But anyway.
Heavens above on Twitter again. Big venue boxing or small hall?
Small hall for me.
Yeah, agreed.
Not all small hall, but the good small hall.
Although I'm going to Madison Square Garden, so
yeah, but that's an unbelievable.
It's a bucket list one.
Yeah, I agree.
UK Boxing 11 on Twitter. Boxing agents who act as managers but not under the British Boxing Board of Control jurisdiction. Why have the board not clamped down on them?
The board are not clamping down on them because they say they don't have a licence and can't take action against them. But to me, there's now a massive growth of these people doing this because that's the way the board are acting. It needs to change, and that's part of what I want to address with the board, and I have a suggestion for them. And if it doesn't get implemented, then for whatever reason, I'll be happy to discuss on here what I did propose. But at the moment, I think it's fair that the board have considered it because I think they try and do the right things.
When is that being proposed?
Probably in the next day or so.
Oh, okay, right.
I've just been so busy, but I have it. I've had it already. I've got the stuff, and I'm going to propose something.
Does that go to Robert Smith? Or?
It will go to Robert Smith and the whole board because something needs to change. I've spoke to a lot of managers who have been affected by this. And why should we pay fees? Why should we do things the right way? Why should we honour every rule and every decency when other people just flaunt it?
Steffi Ball put something on Facebook, didn't he? About
Another example. He's had it. He's had it. We've all had it, and it's all by the same group of people.
Paul Alter on Twitter, what has been the highlight of the year and who is exceeding expectations?
Highlight of the year, Kay Prosper winning the English title the second attempt. Amazing night. That gave me a great buzz for Kay. He'd worked so hard for that. So that was my highlight of the year. I think to say exceeding expectation, I don't want to insult anybody by saying you're better than I thought you were. But the boxer that, to me, has shown more than he was entitled to is Ellis Zola, cruiserweight.
Yeah. I think that's fair. Sauerland's face, who I met down at the Taylor Prograis fight on Twitter. Lovely lad. What did you make of the DAZN broadcast waiting for over an hour for the main event as to not clash with the UFC, especially when Canelo is the biggest star in boxing?
Hard for me to say because I don't want to comment on stuff that I'm not involved with. I've never had a show on TV broadcasting, so I don't know what arrangements different TV networks have, but I do know that TV networks themselves they make their own decisions, and sometimes their decisions are ahead of the promoter. It'd be interesting to know who decided that. Very hard for me to comment without knowing who made that decision.
I think there's an awful lot of fake outrage of people saying, oh, it's a death knell of boxing, it's this, that and the other. If I'm the head of DAZN and you've got Masvidal Diaz on Showtime and you're waiting to put on your biggest fight of the year on DAZN, there is no way I'm running the two head to head. No way.
That makes sense.
It would be madness to me. Like if your sole aim out of putting that fight on is to drive subscription levels, why would you want to piss off whatever small percentage or large percentage of people that want to watch both? Why would you annoy those people?
That's fair. But then the thing is, if neither backs, one thing I suppose, if neither backs down, then you run against each other. Somebody has to back down, so maybe they blinked first and ran later. But
yeah,
I don't know. But sometimes, again, we're going back to business. Sometimes business considerations come first, and that's how it is.
Yeah.
But I don't know enough about the whole thing to comment with specifics.
UK Boxing 1-1. Plans for Nick Parper?
He's got to fight Jose Lopez. Jose Lopez is now.
Is he?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
The board have done that fight, and we have to come to. I spoke to Nick the other day. Jose Lopez has already agreed terms, so Nick's got to agree terms. Has got to agree terms.
Is that too early for Jose coming back? Just getting together.
Well,
with
he
Terry?
was off. The board nominated him. He wanted that. He wanted that fight.
Yeah. It just seems very early. I mean, he's had that long break and he's had the one fight with Terry Coulter. I thought maybe they might want a couple to get their feet.
They wanted that. They're happy to do it. I spoke to Nick the other day, so it's just got to be tied. It's got to be tied.
That's a hell of a fight.
It's got to be tidied up by. It's got to be. We have to agree terms with both by next week. That's what I've been told by the board. So.
At the fellow boss on Twitter, is the Albanian sensation on your Christmas card list?
Well, he's not off it. He was never on it. So, okay, it's been. I'll explain all I can do, as I always do, is explain what happened. So, what I want to say first, I dealt with Florian I looked after him for probably 11 months, and he was fully respectful. He was perfectly decent. They handled themselves impeccably. They were a pleasure to deal with. It was fine. They had asked for their own shows, which they got without me taking the money that other people wanted to take. So I delivered that for them. They wanted to fight on an arena. They fought on Frank Warren at the O2 Arena. They wanted to be live on television. They fought live on television with Ultimate Boxer. I delivered absolutely everything that could possibly be requested. And I went to Vegas. And before I went to Vegas, I had a meeting with Florian and his people down at South Mim Services. And Florian said to me that day, which was nice, that you're the best manager anybody could ever have. You're with us for the whole journey. There'd be nobody else ever managing me. It's just amazing what you've done, everything you've done, everything you've ever wanted, you've delivered, and blah, 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 blah. I returned back from Vegas, and Florian came up to see me and said that he didn't want to renew the contract at the end of December. But I'd already done things for him for December and loads of options, including. So he said he didn't want to renew it. Somebody blah blah blah. So I said, well, okay. On that basis, you might as well go now. I'm not going to supervise what I've already done until the end of December. So then he announces that he signed with Sam Jones of SJM Boxing, who lives up there, and I can only presume. So I was waiting for this big announcement that they've done something amazing for him, and they've just gone on the Ultimate Boxer on the same show that I'd already got a deal done for. So I'm just very confused as to. I wait to see these amazing things that they're doing that I wasn't doing. So I don't actually know why. I don't honestly know why the change of heart came in 11 days. I honestly don't. But I actually do wish him all the best, because I like Florian as a person. I don't get, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. But it's, again, what had obviously happened was when I've gone away on holiday, this has been done in the background. So, which is very odd, but I don't actually feel that Florian himself, again, it may be his team that's done it, I don't know, but I can honestly say he's a really nice guy. I wish him all the best. I hope that the people that have taken him are going to do more than I was doing, but it was impossible to do any more than I was doing. I was doing everything that was needed, every single thing. I got the next show agreed to go on Albanian television. I'd done everything that they wanted. It was going to be shipped to Albania, everything. So I couldn't do any more. It's probably a little bit like, for somebody, I know this is going on a bit, you have a girlfriend that you do everything. She wants everything from you. You take her here, you take her there, you do this, or a wife. You do everything to this wife. You give her the best life in the world. And for some reason that's illogical, she just wants to leave you for no reason. And that's a bit what it feels like. It's a bit like you've been dumped by the person that you've been perfect to, and you couldn't do one thing more than you did. So he's not on the Christmas card list, but I still wish him all the very best.
I know that you don't have any personal begrudgement towards Florian, and I know that you had a good relationship with him and probably would continue to have a good relationship with him if he rang you next week.
Correct.
Other people involved in it? LPC 1231. Would Steve be in favour of a benevolent fund for injured pro boxers who are no longer able to fight being set up and paid for by a £1.50 surcharge on every ticket sold to pro boxers?
My answer is really not going to make me popular. So don't listen to this answer and then go off on one. The answer is no. Right? The first thing is, let me go first about this for surcharges. 99% of boxers should not be professional boxers. They should have a job and box secondary to that job, right? So it's the very, very few, because boxers fighting at small hall level, fighting at the lower level, even on Eddie Hearn shows, should not be professional boxers. They need a job. Wendell Munro was a bin man. Josh Warrington worked
in Japan for a world title, didn't he?
Ricky Burns worked for a while in a sports shop. Now, those boxers at that level, if they can't box anymore, well, they should have a job anyway. So why should there be somebody paying money in for them to do that? You may as well do that for the local carpenter who can't go to work. Why do you not underwrite the carpenter, the electrician, the plumber? They should have another job. Because they are get somebody sponsoring them to do full time. No way should a levy be imposed. And the second point is, the 1% that are professional, like any job we do, put aside money for bad situations. So when you're on your £100,000 a fight, £150,000 a fight, £50,000, put some money away for any, like we all have to do in our jobs, that if things go wrong, then we do it. So
I pay into a pension every month.
Correct. Now, what happens, unfortunately, with boxers, they spend all their money, have loads of money in the career for some of them, spend all their money, fall on hard times, and then, so I think when you get, for example, a boxer that is severely injured, then you have an issue that morally people do raising money, and I think Ringside Rest and Care does a really good job. And I think that people do club together, and I do. I will pay in two things.
Like the Charlie Wynn.
I've done that. I've done the ring service. I pay. So please, when I'm saying no to that, I'm saying because I give anyway.
I think what you mean is that if somebody suffers a knee injury or an elbow injury at the age of 28 and they can't pro box anymore,
correct,
they can still go and get an office job. They can still go and clean windows. They can still go and get a dustbin round.
Correct.
Just because they can't box doesn't mean that their life.
Charlie Wynn is a different example.
Yes.
I'm talking about just because the question was can't box.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying with Charlie Wynn is, yes, I believe that everybody should chip in and pay in for that, which I think is very important, and someone like that's really important. But somebody, as you say, that why should we be covering their insurances? And also, if you add £1.50 onto a ticket, it means those boxers, who's going to pay for that? Because the promoter can't pay for it, definitely at small hall level. The boxer can't afford to pay for it. Who's going to pay for it? And who are you paying it for? The 1%? I've probably not got this across the right way, but all I'm trying to say is, apart from the serious injuries, now, the other thing you've got to remember is the board have insurance.
Yeah.
So a boxer, when he turns professional, can take out insurance against this happening, right? Like you can take out insurance, and I can take out insurance. If the boxer, whilst we support what we can, if the boxer chooses not to take the insurance, and he can increase insurance, if he chooses not to do the insurance, which he can,
yeah,
it's a choice we all have. And so whilst I sympathise with boxers in circumstances, do you know what I mean? There are some, when they are severe, like Charlie Wynn's, it's different. But other things like if you lose the sight of an eye, you can be insured. If you lose, there is an actual board insurance policy there to help these situations. So I'll probably come across as callous, but I'm not trying to, because I do support. Andrew Fairley will tell you I've supported ringside wrestling care. I support
100%.
So I'm not trying to say that, but no surcharges, no.
Right, this going quickfire isn't working.
They're difficult questions.
W. Johannes on Twitter. Any more news on Dion Juma versus Sam Hyde?
That's supposed to be next week.
Is it likely to be on a Goodwin show or Sky?
It could be on a Joe Gallagher show. Could be on anybody's show who wants to bid. So we'll find out next week.
Two questions that are somewhat linked. From Will Michael on Twitter. Which meat does Steve prefer when ordering his Sunday roast?
Firstly, I try not to eat meat, as you know.
Yep.
I try not to eat meat. I don't eat. The only time I do eat meat is actually on a Sunday roast.
Okay.
Only time, really, and I have lamb.
Not Mexican beef?
Not Mexican beef. I don't.
You should do.
I know. I don't want to fail a drug test.
Nah, but you can do a bit of. You won't fail a drugs test. Doesn't matter anyway. Just go with the WBC box. Fine. Charlie Darwin 99 on Twitter. With all the allegations swirling around that Kovalev agreed to go easy on Canelo, might be worth asking Steve how prevalent cheating really is in boxing. We know it goes on, e.g. PEDs, judges, Aaron convicted of bribing officials.
I didn't know that, but that's interesting. Nothing surprises me.
But, for instance, has Steve ever been approached?
Never. I've never firsthand been involved or been approached to do anything that shouldn't happen. I think the Boxing Board of Control are good people. They're all the people that work for them. The officials, the inspectors are good people.
Shout out to the guy on reception as well that works there. I can't remember his name, but he gave me his mobile number today.
Oh, really?
So I had to ring the board.
Oh, really?
And their phones are down, so he gave me their...
Oh, that's nice.
Oh, he was awesome. Absolutely.
But they
awesome.
are great. Everybody who works in boxing is great. But so I've never experienced anything like that. I've never been asked for a boxer at a high level to do anything that's wrong. I've never been asked by a referee for money to give a dodgy decision. Never, ever, ever. So I can only say I've never seen that. I don't think that because when you say corruption, I think Steve Gray gives some bad scores, right? I think he gives some scores.
You don't think anyone paid him to do it?
No, I think that sometimes if you know a boxer and he's from your area and you know him well and you've refereed loads of his fights, I think you can look at him more favourably. And I don't actually believe that it's deliberate, but
it's difficult to be non-partisan.
But you need to say, if somebody keeps doing that, you need to pull the scorecards in and go, hold on a minute, we need to address this. So I don't think the fact he may have bribed officials in America, I think that I genuinely think that the Kovalev out. I think that in America, definitely in those big multi-million-pound fights, do I believe that things are going on they shouldn't? Yes, I do. But I think British boxing is as clean as it can be.
Final one, British Boxing Blog. Who should be held accountable for PED cheats at the elite level in boxing? Boards, bans should be in place. Bodies, remove them from rankings. Promoters, stop promoting convicted cheats.
Well, no, promoters will only promote convicted cheats if they're allowed to fight. So you can't blame promoters, right? Because promoters are just dealing with the rules. So if you go to someone like Eddie Earn, he can make $5 million out promoting somebody. There becomes a moral dilemma there between, do you do what's moral? Because if he doesn't do it, somebody else will. So the ban should be there. The problem is that certain promoters will help boxers and provide them advice on how to get them off bans and how to avoid things. So I think the whole thing should be a widespread ban. The whole business at that level has got to the stage where it's so bad now and it needs totally stripping back.
I pulled Anthony Fowler up on this on Twitter.
Okay.
Because he put something up about Mexicans and singled out Canelo, saying that, or they're getting away with it, they're taking this beef, they're cheating, it's disgusting, you shouldn't be allowed to do it. So I said to him, okay, fast forward 12 months, you get yourself in the top 15 of the WBC, you get offered the Canelo fight for Canelo money that you won't generate anywhere else in your career, would you take that fight? Of course he would. 100% he would. And so I think they're stuck. People who are in the sport are stuck in a dilemma whereby you have to morally signpost to the fact that it's really terrible, but if the opportunity is there to make money out of people who have done really terrible things, then more often than not you're going to take it.
But it goes back to what I said, it becomes a business decision whether it's promoter or boxer. The governing bodies should have a carte blanche ban. Canelo, no matter what the money is, should not be able to fight. He's been done. He's guilty. He's a drug cheat.
But as long as the WBC are making money out of Canelo,
they're not going to. Of course, they're going to find a reason as to not ban him, and that will be the same with other people at that level. But there should be a way that stops, and it stops, and it's from the governing bodies around the world all agree that no matter what happens, I don't know how you do it, but it has to happen because it's now fueled with everybody cheating, and I believe that load of boxers they know that their opponent's cheating, so they start cheating, and it becomes
Tour de France style.
Yeah.
But I think you need to almost strip it to zero and then start from there.
That's what I'm trying to say. How you do it, don't know, but it needs to be done. And it needs to be that they can't lawyer up against organisations who are testing, who don't have financial backing to fight these other the lawyers that come through. Because fighters that are in very big fights, if they can legal up, because if they're earning 4 million, 5 million in a fight and they're going to get banned, they can lawyer up, whether it be in the US or the UK, and do their best to try and that's what happens. It's disgusting, it's spoiling the sport, and something needs to be done.
Yeah, then you end up with people serving silent bans as well, then, maybe. Right, that's it for this week's Ring Talk. Next week we've got Shoki Khan coming on.
Shoki Khan, who's having his second fight this month on the 30th. So he's from Aylesbury, trained by Josh Burnham. Brilliant talent, and he's going to be on as a special guest this week.
Amar Kayani, who we've seen this week, he's going to be taking our Quickfire quiz. Yeah. And then we'll start looking ahead to the Brexit show on November the 23rd, as well as the Plymouth show on November the 22nd. Having a proper look through those. So thank you very much for watching. Any feedback appreciated. Take care.